Hey guys, this is Amit from PhoneRadar and you're watching the review of the Meizu MX5 Android smartphone. The Chinese manufacturers are disrupting the mobile industry across the world. Not only they have managed to make affordable products, but the quality has been improved and you can certainly mark them as premium smartphones with such high-end specs and built materials. Though they are not as expensive they used to be, but that is justified by the premium quality you get. But offering those smartphones at an affordable pricing is a smart move by the Chinese mobile brands. One such brand is Meizu, which has recently announced its latest flagship, that's the MX5. All you will notice at the first looks about this device is how beautiful and sleek it is. We have been testing this device for quite some time now and here is our review. The metal build smartphones are in a trend these days among the big brands and Meizu has come up with its own. Though the company hasn't changed its design from the last iteration, the MX4, but we have certainly seen quite the changes in terms of button placements, like the volume rocker keys and the power button has been shifted to the right edge, which is still the ideal place to keep those functions there only. Many of the brands have tried to experiment but we haven't liked them at all, such as MX4 has power button on the top edge, volume keys on the left edge. The back is not a fingerprint prone, while the front on the device would catch some smudges. Talking further about the port placements, you'll see the speakers are placed on the bottom edge, which is apparently for the stereo speakers, and we liked what we heard out of them. The most interesting addition on this new iteration was the fingerprint scanner, which is according to the company an upgrade from what they had added on the MX4 Pro model. The M-Touch 2.0 do feel like a very easy operation and efficient feature as it is quite quick in recognizing the fingerprints. The display on MX4 is of 1080p, which is comfortable resolution among the flagship smartphones these days, though we would have liked to see the 2K display since it is a 5.5 inch screen size, but nonetheless even at 401 ppi the screen has the good picture output. People should be more concerned with saturation, white balance and sunlight display than the PPI count on the display. The company claims that its display on the MX5 offers a wide visual angle which is close to 90 degrees, though it's not that good at those angles, but we still liked how the colors looked very precise at most of the visible angles. Moreover, the auto brightness sensor was quick at adapting the conditions, so I felt that I don't have to adjust the brightness levels manually. Enjoying a full HD video would have been great, but only if the battery drainage was not an issue. This time the company has used the AMOLED screen, which is good display technology over the IPS panel. The contrast ratio on this display is quite high at 1100:1, which actually makes quite sense as the brightness levels are quite impressive when you are browsing through your phone under sunlight. The Helios X10 comes from the high-end chipset series announced by MediaTek earlier this year. Packing some amazing strength in those octa-cores, X10 is the most powerful and costliest chipset we have ever come across. It first came with the HTC One M9 Plus and later with the HTC One ME. The heating issue also prevailed on the device, not just while playing games for a few minutes but also when the device was on standby mode during the night. Whenever I tried picking up the phone from the desk after a couple of hours during standby mode, I noticed the heat was unusually very high. Talking about the benchmarks, the device scored 45,695 in the AnTuTu test, while the Velamo score was also pretty good, and the numbers are sometimes meaningless but they just give you an idea over the theoretical performance numbers. The octa-core processor allowing the device to go long distance when playing games, as we didn't notice a lag even in games like Asphalt and Dead Trigger 2, so the heating issue is always present there. We did the browsing test on the default browser of the device and were quite satisfied with the experience we received. The zoom in and out was quick and the responsiveness, as we didn't have to wait for the site to load, we were able to move around on the website pretty quickly. While the same can be said for the browsing experience on the Chrome browser, as it was a smooth ride. The addition of fingerprint scanner has made this device rank among some of the elite class of smartphones. Talking about the operations of fingerprint scanner, it was quite impressive as it handled the finger scanning easily. There was no occasion that it was not able to detect my fingerprint. The Flyme OS 4.5 comes on the MX5 is based on Android Lollipop 5.2.1, though it won't remind you of any of the material design that is found on the Lollipop OS. It's more like a mixture of best elements of iOS and Android fusioned on one interface. There are not tons of bloatware screen installed on this device, but only the essential apps and services which can be accessed on the home screen only. There is no app drawer on the interface, though many Android users don't like to have an UI without an app drawer as it gets messy on the home screen, and if you're a power user then there would be many apps and it won't be easy for you to sort out those. Talking about the internal storage on the device, we had the 16GB unit with us, out of which around 10GB is available to the user, which was not enough for us, though we tried plugging the OTG drive to the micro USB port on device and it was able to detect the drive. When running 5 to 6 applications in the background, there was still around 1GB of RAM available for use, which means that you can still open a lot of applications and switch between them easily. Though we are not happy with the user experience that we have been through with the couple of weeks, there are many things that we eventually end up disliking about the operating system on the MX5. While the UI has been made to look smooth and clean, we find that there was no option to organize my contacts, as all the emails and phone contacts were available on one list. The app seems to be crashing all the times. While we didn't think that it was an application's fault, but more of the interface which is buggy, and maybe because of the fact that it runs on 5.2.1 version of Android Lollipop. Otherwise, we were not happy with the UX. There are many other occasions where the app's crashing shouldn't be tolerated, like when I was on a call, the phone dialer would crash and OS would ask to close the application, which makes no sense. The Meizu MX5 packs a massive 20.7 megapixel rear camera, and that big model won't disappoint you. While the last iteration MX4 sported a dual-tone LED flash, the flagship model comes with a two-tone LED flash and laser-aided focus. That being said, we think it was worked out for the company, as the laser-aided focus was quite cost. While I think there's no better camera than the LG G4 in terms of motion sharp captures, but this does offer competitive results. The low light captures were also pretty impressive. On top of that, you can use a manual mode and improve the low light output by increasing the ISO and exposure. Talking about the camera app, it's straightforward and would be familiar as well because of the design. It takes some elements from the iOS camera application. The front camera is quite unique on this device, as it has the autofocus module, which means that you can change the focus object when taking captures from front 5 megapixel camera. In terms of slow motion captures, it isn't the iPhone 6, but against 240 fps on Apple device, it offers recording with 100 fps, which is not bad at all. We tested this too and liked it, at least since the video quality was about 720p. The 3150 mAh of battery and no 2K display here. One would assume that MX5 would be having a great battery life, but that's not the case here. We had the stats to prove so. After using it for more than 2 weeks as a primary phone, I realized the combination of Helios X10 and 3150 mAh of capacitive battery is not good. The battery runs out quickly even when the phone is in idle state. For instance, the phone battery went from 100% to 80% in the idle stage of almost 6 to 8 hours during night, which is never a good sign for an Android smartphone. This makes the standby time of MX5 amongst the worst in the flagship devices. Apart from the basic power saving mode, which does not actually help in increasing the battery life duration, there is no extreme mode available on the device. But to balance out certain things, there is a quick charging option available on the device. Though people wouldn't really like to carry their charger around in office or when traveling, the quick charging supports 25% of charge within 10 minutes and then up to 60% within the next 40 minutes. Overall, the MX5 is one of those smartphones which offers high-end specifications under a starting price of $300, and it has the capability to fight head-to-head for the consumers against the flagships from Samsung, LG, HTC and even Apple. But I would only recommend this device if the heating issues have been sorted out by the company through the OTA updates, as well as the app crashing issues should be resolved. It is only a good device if you can at least use the apps properly and don't have to think about the battery over the day. This was my review of the Meizu MX5. Don't forget to add a thumbs up and let me know in the comment section if you have any queries around this Android smartphone. Don't forget to subscribe to PhoneRadar for more video reviews coming soon. This is Amit signing off, and I hope to see you guys in the next video. Thank you.